So how do I keep my dog from digging in the same spot every day? You know, I've seen a lot of different things, and I've got to be honest with you. I've done quite a few things to kind of help dogs with digging. The first thing that you got to understand is that the digging is going to come from boredom. Your dog is just actually looking for something to do. If you don't mind, would you mind putting down what breed of dog that you have? Because I might be able to give you some additional insight. And if it's a mixed breed, you know, what's your dog mixed with? So if your dog is digging in the same spot every day, that's just because the dirt smells great and it's cool on the paws and it's a lot of fun for your dog. And something that I learned at church that I'll go ahead and tell you now is that, you know, if your dog is doing bad things, that means like the grass is greener on the other side and your dog is like, hey, you know, I want to get to this. So if you want to replace that behavior, if you want to get rid of the digging, you could obviously try to do some things like other people recommend, and I've actually done this. You could put black pepper, or you could actually bury their poop in there, which I don't recommend doing that. But you could try to put different things in there so that way when they dig, you punish the digging for that spot, but then the dog's just going to move the behavior somewhere else and keep doing that. Okay, so husky and lab. Most likely it's the husky part of the dog that's telling it to dig, okay? Because those dogs, I've seen them that they like to burrow and get down into the dirt. So it is a little bit of an instinctive thing, okay? One thing that you could do, Christy, to kind of verify what I just said is if when you put your dog on their place inside your home, if they've got an elevated bed or a place that you put them on, if you see them really using their paws to dig in, that's one of the reasons. So your dog may be digging just to get comfortable. However, okay, let me give you a couple of things, the way that I deal with it with my German Shepherds. So with my German Shepherds, the way that we prevent digging in the backyard is by actually playing other games with them. A lot of times the digging is going to happen when I'm not there, and then the dogs are going to be like, hey, there's nothing better to do, and I'm just going to dig a hole because this is fun. So if I go out there and I go out there every day, multiple times a day, and I play games that wear my dogs out, they never actually have the thought of digging because it just doesn't exist. I make some toys that are really fantastic for that. And, you know, one of them is this particular toy right here. One thing I like to do with it, I just like to play fetch with this. When I play fetch with my dogs, I'll have 2 of these in the beginning to kind of help the dog understand that. But I begin to show the dog that every time we go in the backyard, we're going to play with this. I'll tell you this, even with my really athletic German Shepherds, about 15 minutes of play, 10 to 15 minutes of play by throwing a ball or playing tug with them is going to really do a good job of wearing the dog out. And if you also have a leash on them at the same time, as soon as you're done with playing with them, you can tell them to stay for a little bit on an elevated bed or a pet cot or something like that. And then they can learn that, hey, I'm going to play, there's going to be a lot of fun, and then they're going to ask me to de-escalate. And I love doing that, making my dog get excited, focusing them, and then getting them to come back down. But the digging is really because of boredom. Now, you could punish the behavior. And one way that you could punish the behavior is with a remote collar. The dog could be digging, and then you could say, stop digging, and then you could press a button that would make the dog uncomfortable. But I would warn you with using that technique, if there isn't a replacement behavior that the dog should be doing, or that you're interacting with them and that they know to do. Hey, Christy, I really hope that's helpful. Thanks so much for the question.